remain empty. You will not be able to register MAC addresses until or unless you receive any traffic from any of the devices. Now listen carefully. Whenever a computer, whenever a device sends the traffic and traffic enters to the switchboard, whenever a traffic enters to the switchboard will record the incoming MAC address along with the port number. Let's assume PC1 is going to send some traffic to the PC2. So wherever PC1 will send some traffic to the PC2, the traffic will enter the switch 1. So switch 1 will record that on port number 1, there is a device whose MAC address is PC1. Now, when the traffic is entered into the switch needs to forward that traffic to the destination. And to forward the traffic to the destination, switch will consult its MAC address table. And it will ask the MAC address table that where is the PC2? The MAC address table will not give any MAC address to the switch because there is no entry registered into the MAC address table for the PC2. So resultingly, switch will broadcast. Switch will forward the traffic received from the PC1 to all the ports except port number 1. Any traffic will not be sent back. However, it will be broadcasted to rest of all the available ports. Resultingly, any device that is connected here will discard the traffic. Only the PC2 will reply back. When the PC2 will reply back, traffic will again enter the switch and switch will record that on port number 7, I have a device connected that is named as PC2. Now PC2 is going to reply to the PC1. Switch will consult the MAC address table again asking for the PC1 and MAC address table will say to send the traffic to the PC1, forward the traffic only to the port number 1. Now, this was the very first time. For the very first time, the traffic is broadcasted always. Now we have registered the entries into the MAC address table. Now again, if the PC1 comes to the switch and it wanna go to the PC2, the traffic will enter the switch port number 1. This entry will get updated and the traffic will be forwarded to the PC2 directly. This time there will be no broadcast. The traffic will be communicated in one-to-one or unicast mode. Right? Now, let's assume this PC1 belongs to the HR group. This is the HR1 user. PC2 is HR2 user. There are lots of other users connected here. This was technical 1. Here we had another technical 2. There was some other user here that was the finance user. Finance 1, finance 2 and so on. Now, when the PC1 will send the traffic for the first time, is it adequate? Is it desirable to forward that traffic to the technical, to the finance, to the other department users? Is it adequate? I'm asking, please remain active. Remain active. It is very important. So actually this is not adequate. Why it is not adequate? Why it is not okay for us? It is not okay for us because if the HR traffic is forwarded to the technical, to the finance, to the marketing, to the other departments, then it will cause the security risk, because we may have some confidential information to be exchanged between HR1 and HR2. We may have some financial transaction between finance 1 and finance 2. We may have some technical discussion between technical 1 and technical 2. So their traffic should remain within their boundaries. The technical traffic will not be sent out to the HR, to the finance, to the marketing, or to any other. Likewise, the HR traffic should remain within the HR boundaries. So it might be a security threat. Second important thing, if you are sending the HR traffic to the technical will process and it will conclude that this traffic is not for me. So it will discard that traffic. Now, when it will discard the traffic, obviously it will require some CPU to process the traffic, some memory, and obviously it requires some time. After spending all these resources to understand the HR message, and after understanding, it will discard that message. So it will cause the wastage of resources. Many of you have been facing the buffer overflow messages. Those buffer overflow messages could be caused by receiving unnecessary traffic, because your memory buffer will get overflow after receiving a lots of unnecessary broadcast. So we want to avoid any unwanted traffic. So we want to avoid these two problems. We don't want to have any kind of security risk. We don't want to waste the resources at all. My voice is clear to all of you, or my voice is not clear to you? Please confirm. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we want to avoid all these problems. Okay, now let's take a look at the switch once again. This switch moments earlier was switch 1, and we named this as one local area network. The devices were connected with this switch 1 will form one local area network, right? Now we have multiple users, multiple departments, multiple groups connected over here. This red user is HR group, HR1 and HR2. Yes, I was trying. So I had muted myself. I know. I will explain the things now. Okay, now HR1 and HR2 belongs to one network. They want to form one network. They want to form one group. But currently, all of these four departments are connected into one local area network. So if they are connected into one local area network, then obviously, like this is one room and 8 persons are sitting over here and they are talking to each other, then obviously if they are talking to each other, then they will be able to listen the voices of the other candidates as well. Like this is user 1, user 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. If these two guys are discussing a fine, they are talking to each other,